We'll call the roll.
Evans?
Here.
Evans here. Harmon? Here. Harmon here. Blakesley? Corbett? Leno? Here. Leno here.
Good afternoon. Mr.
Good
Gatto
afternoon.
and Ms. Ma, would you like to present?
Sure. Thank you very much for accommodating me and having this hearing. Madam Chair and Senators, today I'm here to present to you AB 768, which is a simple measure that would result in the state occupying the field of male circumcision, which would, of course, have the effect of preempting cities from prohibiting male circumcision within their boundaries. Standardizing the regulations of procedures like this has always been the province of the state. As a recent court decision duly noted, it should note, though, as the potential for appeals remain or the potential for a patchwork of lawsuits around the state because of the lack of precedential value of a trial court opinion, it remains appropriate for the state to step in and clarify the law to protect parental rights and liberties. This bill is very simple. It's one of those bills where the analysis is substantially longer than the bill. I'll tell you what this bill is about and what it's not about. We are the legislature. We cannot consider, and I won't bring up matters of religion. I won't detail how the materials distributed by the proponents of the San Francisco ballot initiative were widely criticized for being outrageously and nastily targeted towards one religious group. While others may mention and consider those things in their testimony, we are the legislature. Our job is to standardize the statewide practice of procedures like circumcision and to provide for the health and welfare of our citizens. So all this bill does is clarify existing state law to restate that no local government may enact an ordinance prohibiting male circumcision. Now, male circumcision has been demonstrated to have a wide variety of health benefits. The chances of contracting and spreading herpes, HPV, and a host of other STDs are significantly reduced by male circumcision. The World Health Organization and the United Nations Task Force on AIDS recommend male circumcision throughout the world because of its ability to reduce HIV transmission by as much as 60%. So as you consider this bill today, even putting aside the fact that the anti-circumcision efforts were perhaps motivated by an improper animus, I ask you to simply consider this legislation important, if only to eliminate a confusing patchwork of local laws that could result in mothers having to drive their newborn babies to another city to get circumcised. Consider supporting 768 because you believe the efforts in San Francisco and perhaps in Santa Monica were a frivolous abuse of the ballot initiative process. Consider supporting it because you believe in personal liberties. 768 is all these things and nothing more. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Ms. Ma, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so thank you. I'm here to strongly support my colleague as the co-author of this bill and got involved because San Francisco had an initiative on the ballot which has since been pulled by the courts, and I think Senator Leno can talk more about the reasons why, but obviously we feel strongly that the ban was simply too extreme. It criminalized doctors, imposed fines, perhaps jail time for decisions made by parents and their doctors, and that the government and the police should not be in the middle of who should and should not be circumcised. So just here to support my colleague, thank him for taking the lead on this issue, and just happy to be here to answer any questions.
I just have a brief question before we go to witnesses. Not having lived in San Francisco, the initiative that was being circulated simply said that circumcisions could not occur within the boundaries of the city and county of San Francisco, right? I mean, somebody circumcised could be there. It's just
someone circumcised could still walk in San Francisco, and but it not only prohibited circumcisions, it also criminalized them. It made it a misdemeanor, I believe. It imposed a substantial fine for both the doctor and the person getting circumcised, or the parents of the person getting circumcised. So there were some pretty strong components of the ban.
Mm-hmm. So, just to follow up on that, parents of infants then could simply go across the Golden Gate Bridge to Marin County and have a circumcision done?
I believe so. I'm not sure if the police would come around and check, and hopefully they wouldn't, but I don't think that was their goal.
Yeah. Mr. Leno?
Madam Chair, just to clarify, the ballot measure was to prohibit circumcisions performed in San Francisco on individuals under 18 years of age.
Great, thank you. Okay, are we ready to move on to witnesses? All right, just for the benefit of the audience and the witnesses, the practice of the Judiciary Committee is to have 3 witnesses per side to give testimony, 3 minutes per witness, so I will stick to that usual practice and custom. So we'll have the first 3 witnesses in support of the bill, have 3 minutes each, And then all the witnesses after that will be limited to stating their name and affiliation and whether they support the bill. Go right ahead. Start with your name and affiliation.
Sure. Ryan Spencer with the California Medical Association in support of the measure. The CMA has long supported the concept of newborn male circumcision as an effective public health measure, as mentioned, for the reasons mentioned by the author. But, we also at the same time understand the sensitivities and the varying opinions of its practice. That's why we encourage that any risks or benefits are explained carefully and recommendations made accordingly. That in order to make an informed choice, parents of all male infants are given accurate and unbiased information and provide the opportunity to discuss this decision. And that the risk and benefits of pain control techniques for circumcision are thoroughly discussed. So as you can see, the decision to perform male circumcision is one that's not taken lightly and it's taken very seriously, in fact, as all medical decisions should be. That's why it's highly inappropriate and unnecessary for local jurisdictions to involve themselves in such a way, having a referendum on the practice of medicine, criminalizing the practice of medicine, if you will. So simply put, the decision to perform male circumcision should be left up to the parents in consultation with their physician, no matter where they reside. And for those reasons, we support AB 768.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Cliff Berg here on behalf of the Jewish Public Affairs Committee, which represents the organized Jewish community in Sacramento, including all the Jewish agencies around the state, including Jewish community relations councils, Jewish federations. We are here in support of the bill and want to thank the authors for introducing it. We think it is an important measure that would strengthen existing California law. This issue is one that should not be dealt with at the local level, and it would just be insane for California to have a hodgepodge of local ordinances, creating, in essence, some local jurisdictions that are banning circumcisions other than legal and creating, a trafficking of forcing people who of the Jewish faith and other faiths and just general Californians who believe that circumcision is right to, in essence, forum shop for the right jurisdiction and have to leave their homes and communities and local doctors. So we would urge your support. This is an issue that should be dealt with by the state legislature, and there should be one statewide policy on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Valerie Small-Navarro with the American Civil Liberties Union, also in strong support. We see this as a fairly straightforward bill. As the author mentioned, it basically clarifies current law. The Business and Professions Code makes it clear that the state preempts any locality from making any laws or any ordinances relating to medical practice, and this is just one of those practices. In addition, we're also in support because this highlights an important liberty interest, the interest of parents to raise their children in the way they see fit, and the Constitution, both the California Constitution and the U.S. Constitution, and the right to privacy is implicated. So we urge an aye vote. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Please step forward and state your name and affiliation. Mr. Leno, go ahead.
CMA, please. Thank you. I've been a part of this debate, of course, given that it originated in my hometown and district, and with complete respect to the opposition we're about to hear, because we all have differences of opinion as to what is a safe medical provision, what is not safe practice or not. One of the arguments that we will hear is that there's no difference between female genital mutilation and what the opponents of this bill and the proponents of the measure in San Francisco refer to as genital mutilation for circumcision. Does the CMA have any opinion upon the difference between female genital mutilation and circumcision?
Well, I can say that the studies that we actually read, the CDC has found in terms of male circumcision, as they've concluded, to some extent transmission, but for the acquiring of HIV/HPV can be significantly reduced from male circumcision. Now, in terms of female circumcision, no, I don't really have an opinion on that. Most of the studies I review have to do with male newborn circumcision, but there is, I believe there is in our mind a difference. Thank you.
And I'll just note that the staff analysis goes into great detail between the two practices and procedures, and there is an enormous difference. Okay, I've seen no other witnesses stepping up in support. We will have witnesses in opposition, and again, the first three, you'll have 3 minutes each. So please come forward and start with your name and affiliation. And the other two witnesses can also come up, take your place, and we'll go from one to the other. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Levitt, and I live in San Francisco, California. I've come to Sacramento to urge this committee to shelve this badly thought-out measure. It is an emergency bill, but there is no emergency on the part of its sponsors. There's no pending ballot measure that they object to. There is no imminent harm to children or families, and laws exist already that deal with this. Please do not rush into endorsing this legislation that duplicates existing law yet creates favored status for religions and practitioners over the rights of those of us who have to bear the surgery. I'm Jewish, the eldest of three children, the son of a doctor. What troubles me most about AB 768 is that it aims to establish as a matter of California law that circumcision is health positive and affiliation positive. This would be a terrible mistake, as such claims are not supported by any medical, psychological, or psychological association in the world. This language is a Hail Mary passed by circumcision supporters and has no business becoming part of the Code of California. It is biased, misleading, and inaccurate. When I came to the understanding of the many losses from circumcision, both in function and sensation, I became angry. Personally, I feel deeply harmed by circumcision, and this view has only been confirmed over time. I do not feel closer to Judaism because of my circumcision. On the contrary, I deeply wish one thing had nothing to do with the other. The genital cutting of infants has driven me away from my religion, and I am far from alone in this view. I stand before you as proof that the idea that circumcision definitely has positive bonding, health, and sexual benefits is a lie. There are hundreds of thousands of men who resent their infant circumcision. There are tens of thousands of intact Jewish boys and men around the world who thank their lucky stars they were not circumcised. The claim of better health and better affiliation come from those who desperately need to rationalize their condition and their choices. And predictably, these claims originate only where circumcision is already widespread. Most of the world finds these assertions laughable. I urge this committee to halt the backward step of becoming the first jurisdiction anywhere to write glowing but misleading descriptions of circumcision into law. Thank you.
Next witness. Please, hold your applause, please. Go right ahead. Name and affiliation first, please.
Hi, I'm Tina Kimmel. I'm with Jews for the Rights of the Child, also with Bay Area Intactivists and National Organization of Circumcision Information Resource Centers. I have a PhD in social welfare, an MSW in social welfare, and a Master of Public Health, all from UC Berkeley. I worked till I retired as a research scientist for the state health department here in the maternal child health branch. So I have a lot of background in these issues. Circumcision is a horrible crime, and this committee, the legislature has no business ensconcing it into law. I've decided I would like to speak on this analysis that you were given. You pay your staffers to write impartial analyses. How can you accept something that's 13 pages in favor of a bill and 1 page against a bill as an impartial analysis? I'm going to go through it point by point and point out where it falls short of being an impartial analysis. The first paragraph under background says, now in the minority worldwide, circumcised men remain the vast majority in the United States. First of all, there has never been a majority of circumcised men in the world, and the rate of circumcision worldwide is falling. 80% of men in the world enjoy their full bodies, and they have none of the problems that you've been told come with having their highly evolved full genital structures, and the rate of babies being circumcised in this country is falling precipitously, and it's only 32% now. Down here now, there's all this stuff about FGM. I don't understand how, with all the materials that we gave to your analyst, how she could possibly have written this stuff. Even the American Academy of Pediatrics Circumcision Task Force admits that the minor forms of FGM, which are more common than the extreme form that's very rare, the minor forms are much less harmful than what we do to our boys. Excuse me. There were pieces in this analysis from the amicus curiae briefs that were filed from the other side, and none from our side, which I provided to the analyst. From the Doctors Opposing Circumcision group, we had significant, thorough briefing of this issue, and not a single word of it ended up in this supposedly impartial analysis. Excuse me. Now, in the existing law part of this analysis...
I'm going to need you to wrap up.
Oh, okay. Well, the Equal Protection Clause, the existing law allows citizen initiatives, all the assault and battery and child abuse laws, the rights to privacy, none of that is mentioned. All the existing statutes and Supreme Court decisions that would support the right of a baby to his entire body. And just remember that the screams of a baby boy sound just like the screams of a baby girl, regardless of the intent of the parents.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Lloyd Schofield, and I was a proponent for the initiative in San Francisco, which was a restriction on male circumcision, not a ban. There was a medical exception for extreme medical emergency, and when someone is restricted for liberty and the choice of the man who's undergoing the surgery, when they become 18, anybody can do whatever they want with their body for religious body modifications. This is the background on the initiative, which was pulled after getting over 12,000 signatures to get on the ballot of San Francisco in a very short amount of time. So there's very strong grassroots support for this. I think a lot of people don't realize that male circumcision, we've been fed lies all our lives, certainly from a medical standpoint and religious standpoint. Oh, it's just a little bit of skin. Oh, it doesn't hurt. Oh, you don't miss it. Oh, it's cleaner. Well, I'm telling you, these are the same things that Muslim countries tell their people when they do this to their daughters. It's the same excuse. Muslims are not bad people. They are not bad parents. They feel they are doing what is expected of them and what is right too, and what they have been told. This is the same thing for male circumcision in the United States. Currently, the way the radical surgery removes 50% or more of the penile skin. It contains the most erogenous nerve endings called Meissner's corpuscles. These are obliterated. Babies routinely die. You're just hearing about it in the news now because it's not reported by the CDC. They do not have adequate reporting structures. Babies die from circumcision complications. They say because of hemorrhage, because of infection. These are the two most common side effects of infant circumcision. You can go to Stanford Medical School website, and they're 7 pages long, 18 different complications from male circumcision. Even if there were no complications, this is damaging to a man's sexuality. It is damaging to their body. It is damaging psychologically. And if people take the time, instead of rushing this through, I see this is marked with urgency, and I assume that's marked so people cannot look into the subject anymore. There is no medical association on a national or worldwide level that recommends routine infant circumcision for males. In 1996, the American Academy of Pediatrics said this is cosmetic surgery. In 1996, the Royal Dutch Medical Association cited severe psychological and physical harm. The South African Medical Association a couple of months ago reinforced this. There's been a study called the Frisch study in Denmark, documenting the sexual dysfunction caused by circumcision. None of this takes place in this is put in this analysis. Again, we're all here for freedom. Women have this choice. They have the right over their body. Men deserve equal freedom. I also noticed that the 14th Amendment is not included here. California state law and federal state law stops even a drawing of one drop of blood from females. Men are no less human beings than females are, and they deserve the same protection under the 14th Amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses wishing to state their opposition? Yes. Didn't you already testify? Did you want to speak or just? Oh, I'm sorry. No. If other witnesses who are in opposition, come on up and simply identify yourself and your affiliation and say that you are opposed. And you can just line up behind one of the microphones or each take one if you'd like. And again, just state your name and your affiliation.
My name is Marilyn Milos. I'm the Executive Director of the National Organization of Circumcision Information Resource Centers, which is a 501c3 educational organization. We're also in roster status with the Social and Economic Council of the United Nations. We oppose all forms of genital cutting of non-consenting minors.
Thank you. Next, go ahead.
My name is Stephen Bowen, and I'm also a volunteer for the National Organization of Circumcision Information Resource Centers in Sonoma County. I'm also affiliated with Bay Area Intactivists and Intact Sonoma. And I'm opposed to the bill, specifically the sentence that says that there's medical benefits to male circumcision. And I just ask you to read the
Thank you.
pamphlet.
And if you do have written materials that you would like the committee to consider, you can turn them into the desk right there, and we will consider them. We have it.
So.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My name is Jonathan Conti. I'm from San Francisco. I'm a member of Bay Area Intactivists, a human rights organization. I strongly oppose Bill number 768. All children, regardless of gender, have a human right to genital integrity.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. My name's Sophia Williams. I'm part of Intact Sonoma, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Frank McGinnis. I'm a Barrier Intactivist member. I'm also a restoring member of Gary Burlingame's Restore Site. I'd like to point out that I'm consistent, of course. There's 671,000 pages on Google if you do restoration, so it's no small matter here.
Thank you. Other witnesses in opposition? Come on up and take your seat at one of the microphones. Identify your name and affiliation.
Kirsten Barquist, Intact Sonoma, and I deeply oppose this bill. This is all children deserve equal protection and deserve fully intact, functioning genitals when they reach adulthood. What they want to do when they get to be an adult is their business.
Thank you.
In the meantime, we need to protect them.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
I'm Clint Sommer, native of California, born in Atascadero, California. 6 days later, I was circumcised, and I have had post-traumatic stress disorder ever since. Therefore, I totally oppose this measure.
Thank you for your testimony. Any other witnesses in opposition? Okay, and we'll bring this back to the committee and the author of the bill. Any questions, comments by committee members? I have a couple of comments I'll make. First of all, I want everybody to know that I have read all of the letters and the information submitted in support and in opposition. And even though I'm going to support the bill, I do want the opponents to understand I am not unsympathetic to the issues that are raised. This is a very personal decision, and this bill neither mandates circumcision nor precludes it. I do agree with the supporters of the bill that testified earlier that we need to have a state standard. It is impossible to enforce a law that is a hodgepodge based on inconsistent or, inconsistent and incompatible local ordinances. And the reason that this bill has come to the Judiciary Committee, I believe, is the fact that it does raise a lot of personal privacy issues. It raises First Amendment freedom of religion issues, and I know that there are people that have personal objections to circumcision, but it is a recognized religious right for Judaism, and I'm not Jewish. I was married to a Jewish man, however, and when I had a son, I had to struggle with this very personal decision about did I want him circumcised or not. It was hard. So I recognize that this is a personal issue. So again, those are my reasons for supporting the bill. Anybody else wish to add anything? If not, we can. Thank you, ma'am. You're out of order, but we've already heard the testimony. All right, then I will entertain a motion. Excuse me. Would you like to close, Mr. Gatto?
Yes, I would, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. And I really do also want to thank all the people who came to this hearing today to participate. It's very nice to see people participating in their government. We can respectfully disagree, but it's nice to see people who make the trip to come and participate in the process. That is what we're all about.
The democratic process.
Ma'am, you're out of order. If you can't remain quiet, then we will have to ask you to leave the room. Go ahead, Mr. Gatto.
Thank you. As the analysis so adequately points out, this is very different than female genital mutilation. There are three main differences that I'll just touch on briefly. First of all, female genital mutilation has historically and continues to be used to oppress females. Male circumcision, on the other hand, has bona fide medical purposes. Third, female circumcision is typically designed to eliminate all feeling for females. That's not the purposes behind people who get their male children circumcised. If one takes any practice in the abstract, I could sit here and describe to you taking a young person to the mall, taking a steel stake and shooting it through a body part. Well, I just described piercing ears. It is important that we recognize this bill for what it is and what it isn't, and just take a deep breath and realize that this is a simple bill that clarifies state law to standardize our practices and preserve liberty. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. And I do appreciate the debate. I think it's been very interesting and enlightening, and I think, there's a lot of different opinions on this subject, and they're all, all make good points. But we do have a job here to make a decision, and so I will entertain a motion. If Mr. Harmon is moving approval, we will call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Harmon? Aye. Harmon, aye. Blakesley? Aye. Blakesley, aye. Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. Leno? Aye. Leno, aye.
That bill has 5 votes. It is out of committee. And thank you very much to everybody that participated in the process. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak to my senator, constituent, if that's possible.